Where is your brains? That's nonsense, because it's a disgrace. The failure's down to you. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Good evening and welcome to The Apprentice, You're Fired. It's task 2 in Lord Sugar's search for a business partner and hunting that £250,000 investment. 15 candidates were set a task to create the most popular phone app to hit the global market. I mean, we all use them. My own phone has apps for travel information and for games. And my personal favourite, which is, like when you're in a restaurant with friends, imagine, like you've got two people sitting next to each other, right? You're me and I'm you, right? As I said, so if I ask you a question, right, like where do you think we are? You know, I'm going to ask my phone right now. I don't think I'm explaining this well. I'll let the inventor explain.
I just thought of this. I think it's a brilliant idea. Okay, so imagine if you've got two people standing next to each other, and you've got okay, how do I say this? Okay, so you're you and I'm me, and I say, okay, so if I ask you a question like, where do you think we are? And I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to ask my phone where we are right now. Bob, here is my question.
Genius. Let's meet this week's panel. CEO of the Carphone Warehouse, Andrew Harrison, Lord Sugar's aide, Karen Brady, and comedian Andy Parsons. Welcome to You're Fired. Tonight, the task was to design a downloadable app, and for one candidate, it answered the question, what does You're Fired sound like in an East London accent?
Alex, you don't do anything. This is not a job. This is going into partnership. If you get lost and think I'm going to sit back and do all the work and all that stuff, you can forget it. Alex, you're fired. Thank you.
Please welcome Alex Brites Cabral. Welcome, hola, ¿qué tal? Pleasure to have you here, a delight. Tell me, what's your reaction to having just seen the programme?
Fascinating. Obviously, I remember how it was at the moment it happened, and then seeing it played back, it's a very different feeling.
Yes, you were criticised at one stage for holding back, which was surprising given your fighting talk here.
I can't stand people who try and fudge through in the background. You know, this process is designed to play to your skills and strengths, and I'm going to be at the forefront of that. I want to be noticed, I want to use my benefits, and people who just think they're along for the ride in the background, I'd better get off because I cannot stand that.
Yeah. Are you enjoying the irony of those words?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, hands up, wrong tactics. And obviously, they came back to bite, probably.
Indeed, they did. Let's compare those words with your performance on the task.
Let's make a decision on the project manager.
I'll put myself forward.
I'll also put myself up for the task.
Yeah, I can put myself forward.
I have the capability to lead.
Guys, very happy to lead you, but I think from what I've heard there are people better placed here to lead.
He's not a volunteer, is he?
Is there anyone that sort of was weak in that team?
I made a very valid contribution to this.
Lord Sugar, there are participants and there are spectators. Alex, maybe you're biding your time.
I've not been a passenger at all.
Alex? Yes. So I always forget him.
I'll tell you what I'm guilty of, is not showing truly what I can do.
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely right.
Yeah, it is absolutely right.
And that can be, you know, your downfall, young man, because...
It could be.
He had 2 weeks to shine, and he spent 2 weeks in the shadows.
Andrew, you run several mobile phone businesses. What did you think of Alex's performance here?
I think it is quite hard to judge because we haven't really seen the true Alex, which is quite a disappointment. And as you say, the tactic was probably wrong because, you know, you really want someone within business to really put themselves forward when you've got a short amount of time. You want someone to be confident and lead from the front and show what they've got. And I don't think we really saw that from Alex.
Karen, you were in the boardroom. You were watching him there. Would you tell me about that?
Alex, you know my feelings because you heard them in the boardroom, that I think you're right about your tactics. I think in the past when Lord Sugar's been looking for an employee, that may have been a tactic, but actually the stakes are so much higher this time. He's looking for a business partner, and I think the clue in the sort of person that he's looking for is in the prize, really. And that sort of hanging back, hoping a few drop out, and then you can sort of rise to the front didn't work at all.
Andy, think he hid himself a bit too much?
I'm very grateful you've asked my opinion, Dara, because I am keen to be a participant and not a spectator. And it's interesting because you're an estate agent by trade, by all accounts, and they're not normally regarded as hanging around in the background. I wonder quite how you manage as an estate agent, whether you McKees get them to let themselves in and you just sit in the car outside going...
Is it something you normally do? Are you normally quite shy about these things?
No, not at all. I think when I looked at the characters in that group, there were some really big voices, and like I said, some of the noise that was coming out wasn't always too good. So, in a way, yes, slightly biding one's time and seeing what happens. I mean, when you're involved in the task, you don't feel like you're doing any less than the others. There may be the fact that one of them's speaking 100% of the time and you're not, but you don't realise that necessarily at the time.
But you realise this is the key contrast, because maybe you were in the task, but, you know, you're being criticised for not being proactive there. But it was a whole different matter when you're in the boardroom.
Yeah, in a way, I've always performed better under more pressure, and I'm not saying I found the tasks in any way boring, but the boardroom environment was just something different altogether, and it just kind of sent something through me.
Oh, yeah, listen, we can enjoy you in action in the boardroom.
On a task, he disappears. In the boardroom, he comes to life.
Yeah.
He has something to say.
Yeah. You might have saved one pitch, but you saved a small pitch. You didn't get the big pitch, did you?
Your contribution is nada.
If we just think about this for a second, actually, we've got a worded ad there that wasn't right. Jim, that comes back to you, and we've got the
No,
pitch
it's
that we
unanimous.
didn't...
The worded ad, let me clarify.
You had the final say on it.
You should be fired then.
Alex, you barely worked with me. You're going on hearsay. You failed. I'm a valid candidate to be here. Leon is not.
I guarantee you're not going to make it to the final.
So why all the feist then? Why all the...
Well, I mean, there were other people on that task who, if you would like, didn't exactly make their presence felt, and I did feel it was a little bit unfair at that point in that way to be pulled back in because of, you know, how it had gotten.
Yeah, but you were able to defend your corner. That's the thing. I mean, he was able to defend himself in the boardroom.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell the difference in personalities from seeing you on the task where you were just happy to mind your own and stick with sort of quite the menial things, but in the boardroom you were really feisty. And I've always said that you've got to have sort of two strategies, one for the boardroom and one for the task. You certainly had one for the boardroom, but you didn't have one for the tasks.
Yes, because we did have the same criticism about you on the first task.
Alex, could you tell me what you did?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can confirm I saw you cleaning and cutting bread.
Yeah, you did a lot of cutting bread. And you cut that bread well, my friend. You cut that bread better than we've ever seen it cut. But it wasn't a bread-cutting task.
No. No, it wasn't, but we had this chat in the boardroom, and it was a case of front office, back office, and I think someone had to do it, and probably, I think, as I said at the time, a little bit of naivety that I made that person myself. But, nevertheless, we put in a good showing on that task.
Somebody has to cut the bread. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but...
Well, when you cut the bread, you're not doing anything else that gets you noticed. You're not getting your figures on the score. You're not making a really clear contribution that's tangible, that we can, you know, Nick and I, our job is to sort of watch what you do and feed back. I couldn't feed back anything about you, Alex, other than, yes, you cut bread very well, and you clean up pretty good, too.
You do need backroom people as well, just to actually get down, particularly with a huge clash of egos, you do need people to...
You do. You need all sorts within business to do every little bit of task that is there, and things don't get done without the unsung heroes. I don't think that's what Lord Sugar's looking for.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you know, he did well in the boardroom, and that was, you know, it's a talent in itself. It's not easy in that boardroom, is it? It's always a weird start when Lord Sugar actually comes out to begin with. And you always want to know what is through that frosted door, don't you? It's almost like he's come out of the shower, you know, in his suit.
You think he's so busy, he just goes to sleep in the suit, rolls into the shower, freshens it up with a bit of steam, and then...
That should have been the application, a shower that works for Lord Sugar.
White. Anyway, OK, let's have a look at. Bring us back to apps. You all thought you had it won.
When we win this task, which I think we will,
If the girls have got more downloads, I feel like I've been hit with a sledgehammer, to be honest.
I think we're going to do well. That's it. Nothing more to say. I just think we're going to do well.
I'm feeling really confident.
For the boys, 3,951 apps downloaded.
Karen, what's the final figure for the girls?
10,667.
Did you know that you did that face when you were disappointed? That,
Absolutely,
somebody stole my chocolate face.
That, I think, sums up exactly how me and the rest of the team felt. It was horrific.
How does it, I mean, the app market is huge, and you've adjudicated on the Appy Awards for the best apps. I mean, you've had to run your eye over apps. How did theirs actually compare as an industry? In
what they got, I mean, they didn't do the market research bit, but they picked up quite quickly that most apps are used for time wasting.
Yeah.
And most apps are free. And I think they found something which was quirky, that was something that, and what you're really looking for is something that could go viral and something that you really would show your mates down the pub and that would say, look at this, it's just a bit of fun. And I think they found that. I think they found a good name that was easy. Just made one fatal mistake, which was it wasn't global.
Why do you think they went wrong?
We got so carried away with the theatrics, the comedy, putting on the show, that you actually forgot that you were trying to reach a global audience with a global product.
You do get the push, but Leon diced with death, particularly what I feel is going to be a famous moment within this series, this horrendous wobble in the boardroom.
I'd like to bring back Alex and Jim.
I'm not the person you should be bringing in, so you need to change your decision.
Do you want me to change? Is that
Change.
Actually, you're the man. You're bringing in...
It's obvious.
Okay.
It's obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. Okay, so... Okay, I'm going to bring McGlenn.
What do you think, Jim?
PM's made a decision, it's chosen you.
Well, I think it should be Tom.
I want to get home tonight. Speak.
That is one of the most insane moments I've ever seen as a boardroom piece of wobbling indecision.
Well, Nick, Alan and I were like that. Because we couldn't actually believe what we were seeing happening in front of us. What a master stroke from Jim, though, to actually talk his way out.
Jim is a Jedi.
It felt very much in the boardroom. I was pulling little strings. You will not bring me into the boardroom. No, I won't bring you into the boardroom.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
I'm looking forward to it when exactly it comes to Lord Sugar having a go at Jim, and suddenly you'll suddenly see this look come over, you know, Lord Sugar's face, and suddenly he'll go, I'm fired.
It's a bit of a rewind. The team leader has spoken. Then the end of the discussion, and respect what Daddy said, and those are the rules, right? It was also pretty weird that when Leon went back to the house, he tried to spin it. Tried to make out that this was a plan all along, but was correctly called out by Glenn.
I initially had Jim up in the firing line. Yeah, this is brilliant. I had to quickly switch tactics, so I brought Glenn in.
Suddenly changed your mind. I'm like, you big wig.
You were a chicken. You bottled it, mate.
I'm telling you that for free.
Oh,
that's amazing.
And who is that shadowy figure in the background? Glenn, during all that. Because we're not trying to editorialise here. We're not saying, you know, but there was something about the mind control, and also just in that moment there was the wink. Do you know anyone in business who's done that kind of, who has that kind of control of that? The Kaiser Soze-ish type of way?
I've worked for a number of them, yeah, and I've worked with a number of them. And, you know, it's, they're all kind of people within business who exert that control. Sometimes the finance director, sometimes CEO, sometimes the chairman. You've got to be able to deal with them all.
I have a soft spot for the nerd of the group, Tom, this year, who is our inventor.
Temperature on this day. It will tell you the temperature in London of this day exactly a year ago. A traffic light.
Just having traffic lights, or...
Yeah. I didn't really think it through much more than that.
Because if you put the two together, you can have an app that tells you what the traffic light was doing on this day a year ago.
Because that's what you've always wanted to know, though, isn't it? Exactly what the temperature was a year ago today. Often you've been wandering along going, oh, if only I had... Oh, I really want to know. Maybe 2 years ago I know, but a year ago that would be...
You know, God, is this a softer winter than it was? I know, with Tom's app we can find out. Oh, no, it's exactly the same. Oh, shut up.
The thing about him, though, and it's true, he's a genuinely nice person. And actually he's a clever guy and he's a details guy. And I think he's one to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Andrew? You've only seen a little bit of him.
I like him, and I think that, you know, he's got ideas, and I think you want people who've got ideas and are prepared to pitch them in.
Okay. The focus is back on you, Alex, now as we find out what Lord Sugar and your former colleagues had to say about you.
Now, with Alex, never seems to do anything. Always sits in the background, always waiting, you know, strategically to let everybody else do the stuff and so that he's not going to be culpable.
He's a wee bit quiet, he's a bit backward in coming forward.
He's a little bit out of his depth, feeling uncomfortable about certain aspects, and I believe he's a bit of a one-trick pony.
Alex is probably, for me, the weakest that we've got within the team.
Now, this process is about me going into business with somebody. I don't go into business with passengers. That's why I fired Alex.
Okay, Alex, what can you take from this?
Obviously, I went in with a clear set of tactics, and I can admit they didn't work, and ultimately that's why I'm here now.